Hey YouTubers, it's me, Cassie B, and this is Chronicles of a Cancer. Today, I'm going to get down to business, and we're going to talk about from where I was and how I got diagnosed with cancer, and then later on we'll backtrack. So this may be a 3-part video because it's a lot of information, so just bear with me. So while a student in San Antonio, I was going through a 3-year program to obtain my doctoral degree in anesthesia and nursing. I had some hardships upon arrival. Probably had a lot of more hardships than any of the other students. I mean, I don't know what everyone was going through, but I had a lot of things on my plate to deal with. For starters, upon my arrival to San Antonio, I was sleeping on an air mattress and I didn't have a car. And that was because upon my departure from Korea, pretty much everyone was leaving the installation because the post overall where I was stationed was being shut down and people were being moved elsewhere. So they were either being shipped away, period, out of country, or they were being moved to another location. Household goods, to ship my items back to the United States was a very hard thing to get into. They had limited appointments. Everyone was trying to move at the same time. I finally got an appointment, but I didn't get my items until more than a month later. I got to Texas in June, and I believe my delivery was in August. So I ended up sleeping on an air mattress for over a month, well, about a month, and then I got a partial shipment from items from Hawaii, where my family was stationed at the time. I got some of those items, and one of them included a mattress, not even the bed frame. So I slept on a mattress on the floor after I got finished sleeping on an air mattress. So I started to have some increased pain in my back, hips, and neck. I had some pain in the past, but myself and my primary care provider had attributed my pain to sleeping on an air mattress because those are supposed to be for short-term use, right? Probably went to the doctor, or I say doctor, but I mean my healthcare professional who was a nurse practitioner. I went back several times and I received different plans of care. I think initially I received some oral pain medications, like anti-inflammatory medication, muscle relaxants. I was prescribed a TENS unit, which is the stimulation, I don't know if you know, it's a stimulation pad that sends electrical impulses to the particular part of tissue that's bothersome. So I used that. I used lidocaine patches to kind of numb the pain topically. So we were trying to cover all of our bases, but he did offer physical therapy. But at the moment, I wanted to hold off on physical therapy because I didn't know what was going to happen while I was in school, because we studied every single day, all the time. And I just didn't want that to interfere with schooling. But I think a week later, I went back and got it because I was like, okay, no, never mind, I need this. So I just made do. I went to physical therapy initially, I believe a few times a week, maybe twice a week. Okay, so after we worked with that treatment regimen, it was partially effective, but not much. My pain had slowly started to increase again. So I was having about 7 out of 10 pain, and it was really hard to pinpoint the type of pain I was having. It started off as like muscular, then it felt like pinching pain. It was just random. So then I kept going back. I went back, I was having some numbness in my arm, well, numbness and tingling. My physical therapist explained to me it could be that I was having some compression of my brachial plexus, which is like a bundle of nerve fibers that branch down my arm. That's what I was thinking. The physical therapy did work, but it just kind of took the pain down from like a 7 to like a 6. So I went back to my PCM. We added chiropractor to the therapy. So obviously I had multiple appointments. while I was in school, physical therapy and chiropractor, seeing my chiropractor, and then basically my appointments seeing my PCM. From there, pain was relieved temporarily with the chiropractor. Lined my spine. I felt worse maybe 2 days after, which is kind of normal. Anyone adjusting your bones. I felt worse for a few days, and then I felt better for a few days, and then I went back to feeling bad again. So again, it was a temporary fix. My doctor did order an x-ray somewhere in there, and we attributed the pain to being scoliosis. I did have a history of a mild case of scoliosis, but the next thing was thinking that it was increasing the curvature of my spine, and so that maybe I was having pain from that. So that's why I was seeing the chiropractor. But anyways, none of that seemed to help. One day I was studying in the library and I was writing on the whiteboard. So we write in detail, like everything on the board, as far as just a way it helps me memorize things and put things together, create a map and something that I can write and see. So I was writing on the board, and all of a sudden I felt the sharpest pain that I ever felt in my life. It was a 10 out of 10 pain, and I'm talking about pain worse than being in labor of having a child. It sent me down to my knees, and I was in tears. I was hunched over in a study space in the library in tears. I think I called the ER just to see what the wait time was, because I didn't want to wait. And I also didn't want to waste time because I still had to study. I think I just ended up sitting down and maybe writing things out on a piece of paper, but I just could not be at that whiteboard anymore. The wait time, there was a long wait time at that point, so I went to the ER probably late that night, because that's usually when, like late at night, early in the morning, that's usually where there's low traffic in the ERs. So I saw a PA. He took a look at, my history, and he prescribed an MRI. With the MRI, because I wasn't considered urgent patient, like it wasn't life or death, I couldn't get one that day. So they set me up for an appointment for the future, and it might have been good 2 to 3 weeks. He also sent me home on steroids. The steroids did relieve my pain, or made the pain manageable. The steroids strengthened the cell wall. It helped decreases inflammation. So, that helped a lot. But as a side effect of the steroid, I was eating everything. But that's another story. I gained like 30 pounds over this course from getting steroids several times. Anyways, so I then had my appointment set to get my MRI, which happened to be 3 weeks down the road. But in the meantime, I was set to go back overseas to testify for court. We'll talk about that at another time as well. So I was basically forced to leave school, which is unheard of, to go overseas to a different continent, to go sit for a court case and to testify. So I was gone for 10 days, and they didn't even call me to the stand. They did not call me to the stand. I tried so hard to get out of this court case prior to, but it was inevitable that I had to go. So I went, and it was hard because I was adjusting from night and day. 2 different time zones. It was like flip-flopping, like going to a healthcare professional on day shift and night shift, just like that, like no days in between, just flipping the switch. I did do some studying while I was there, but it was extremely difficult because I was jet lagged, I was different time zones, and I had to worry about getting things together while I was for the court case. So I came back to school. I had a lot of catching up to do, but I actually pulled through. I didn't sleep for many days because I had to cram, like the cramming of a lifetime. I crammed. I passed all of my exams except for one, and that was okay because I had good grades prior to leaving, and so that balanced out. So I'm telling you that because I had to reschedule appointments to be able to go to Korea, or to have to go to Korea. I rescheduled my MRI and I also rescheduled my ultrasound, which right before I left for Korea, that is when I found a painful lump in my breast. Yeah, because I had to go overseas. I rescheduled both of those appointments for when I was going to return, which was 10 days later, give or take. After I crammed and caught up with everything, I went to both appointments. I got my MRI done, I got my ultrasound done. I was studying for, the current material. I later at my ultrasound, when I saw the radiologist for the exam, upon doing the exam, she immediately told me, I have some areas of concern. I need you to stay so that I can do a procedure because I'm very concerned. And she gave me the opportunity to go out and talk to someone because in the radiology department, the walls have barriers where no phone signal can get in or out. So I was just in that area. So I had to go outside and I called my husband. I called one of my instructors, Major Johnson. I was in tears. I was in panic mode. And I also called a couple of my friends. So then later that day, I went back and got biopsies done. So the areas of concern were actual lesions. There were 3 lesions in my left breast, which I thought was like one lump, but it was 3 small lumps lumped together. I thought it was one large lump. But so approximate size of the lump was about the size of a walnut. So now you may say, like, how did you not recognize there was the size of a walnut in your breast? Well, I have very dense breasts and they have grown in size since I breastfed my son. So I just didn't recognize. I don't know. I really don't know. We did the biopsy of those 3 sites of concern. Biopsy is where they go in and they take a tissue sample of the area of concern. At the same time, the radiologist placed clips, 1 clip inside of each of those areas as markers. So those markers make it easily detected upon any type of radiologic procedure or exam. I want to say the same day, no, I believe it was another day, I had another procedure to get an actual mammogram done. So it was ultrasound and then mammogram. But I remember on that day feeling very scared on the day of the biopsy. And from there, my anxiety set in. It's all that I can think about. It's all anybody would be able to think about is that I could have breast cancer. And then your mind just wanders and it just goes places where you don't want it to go, but it's just uncontrollable. It's human nature. So I was told that the results for the exam would come back in 3 to 5 days. I believe this date was October 6, 2018. So in the meantime, all I could do is go to my next scheduled appointment, which was the mammogram, and pray and wait. And I think I'm going to stop right there. This video is getting kind of long. So we'll just make this part 1 of this episode or this subject. So please tune in next week for more details about how I was diagnosed. We will finish up where I left off, and then we will also go back into previous appointments and other signs and symptoms. I think I'm gonna close this off right here so I can take a breather. So there will be a part 3 and maybe a part 4.